What's going on, guys? Jeff back with another video. Today I've got something special lined up for you. It's something I've been looking forward to doing for quite a while now, and I was excited to finally get the time to do it. It's the restoration of my Shogun Warriors Godzilla figure. Thanks to Derek Larson at Shogun Plastics, I was able to complete this restoration, and we're going to go back to the shop, and I'm going to do the video sharing with you how I did it. What's going on, guys? Well, today it's finally happening. I'm restoring this 1977 Shogun Warriors Godzilla. If you've followed my What's in the Shops, you know I've had this guy for quite some time, wanting to restore him. And finally I've got everything I need to do it. So I'm going to go ahead and put this cool video together. I've not seen a lot of these restored on YouTube, so kind of excited to do one. Hope it goes well. A little backstory on this guy. About a year ago, I was looking to get a Shogun Warriors Godzilla, but the prices on them were going through the roof. They were running anywhere from $250 to $500 depending on the condition. And I definitely wasn't going to pay that, so I just kind of held my ground until something came up. And around the same time, eBay gave me a $50 coupon for being a founding member going back to 1999. So I had that as well in my back pocket. And one day, this damaged Godzilla came up on my watch list, and it was for around $80 shipped. And so I did some studying to make sure that there wasn't anything super wrong with it. And I decided to pull the trigger on it. So using my $50 coupon, I got the Godzilla for around $30 shipped. The caveat to that was the fella that was selling it didn't really understand shipping prices very well. So he got a little frantic and got with me and told me, I know I put free shipping on there, but it's going to cost to ship this thing. And, I held my ground. I'm like, this is what we agreed to. This is what eBay's agreed to, so you're going to have to figure it out. So we went back and forth. He finally decided he was going to figure out a way to ship it. He understood. And he took it apart and boxed it up and shipped it. So I'm not sure what the shipping cost. But, it's just, sometimes it's just the way it goes. So I got this guy and decided I'm going to restore him and do a video. There's a few things with this figure. First off, I'll go over. The claws are completely smoked, which is pretty common with a lot of these Godzilla figures. The plastic kind of breaks off over time. He's missing his firing fist, which is really common as well. And actually the button mechanism for the firing fist is broken. His lever on the back is broken off too. That activates his firing tongue, which is really common as well. When the guy took him apart, he kind of damaged the interior socket of the leg. So the leg's a little loose on the right side, which I'm going to kind of get a fix for that. I'll figure it out. So he was missing his tail as well. So it's pretty much a bare bones figure that I got. So I had to sit down and figure out a lot of different things I was going to need to restore this guy. The crazy thing about it was I really never planned on owning a Shogun Warriors Godzilla, but I had a few other Shogun Warriors that I never really planned on owning as well that I restored. So naturally I just got on a kick and wanted to do a Godzilla. I plan on giving all these to my son when he gets a little older so he doesn't shoot his eye out with them. But yeah, I just wanted to have this Godzilla. I'm a huge fan of Godzilla. I never had one of these as a kid. I remember seeing them back at garage sales in the 80s, missing a lot of parts, and they're definitely in played with condition, but I never really talked my parents into getting me one. And I never had one in the 70s, and neither did my brothers. I had some friends that did, but this guy really wasn't on my radar until recently, so I can thank the pandemic for making me bored enough to try something like this. And I haven't really seen a lot of these restoration videos on YouTube, so this is kind of a first. So I hope you guys enjoy it. So we're going to pause the video and I'll come back and talk about a few things that I've got for this guy. Okay, welcome back, guys. So, one of the things that made me decide to do this restoration project was Shogun Plastics. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with Shogun Plastics, I've talked about it several times in a lot of my different videos, but Derek Larson is the man. I don't think a lot of Shogun restorations would even be possible or wouldn't be as hot of an item that it is right now if it wasn't for him. He's kind of like the godfather of Shogun Warrior restoration, in my opinion. He's created some of the really cool reproduction parts that you see a lot of people use. He has his own website. He has an eBay store. I'm not sure if he's on Etsy or not. I'll post a link to his website, shogunplastics.com. But Derek, he's the man. He can almost, I would assume, create any reproduction part for your Shogun Warriors. And him and I corresponded last year. I know he was really, really booked up with a lot of stuff. And I just kind of put in an order and told him what I needed for this Godzilla restoration. And he came through for me. He's such a good guy, too. I just want to take a moment to mention that I deal with a lot of, when I'm doing restorations and stuff, or customizations, I deal with a lot of assholes. And I mean that respectfully to those assholes, but I deal with a lot of people with big egos who realize that they're making really cool, unique parts, and they just, they kind of act douchey. Derek is one of the nicest people I've ever dealt with. He's considerate. He always gets back to you. He works with you. He's just a really, really good guy. And Derek, if you're watching this video, I just really appreciate everything you've done to help me restore my figures, and just kind of becoming a corresponding friend with you. I'm glad I know you. So thank you very much. Anyways, Derek has helped me restore this Godzilla by giving me a lot of the parts that I need. The Godzilla that I got in the mail had the fist, but the firing mechanism was smoked, so I threw that out. So Derek has graciously made me a new firing stud for the fist, which is cool. He has a 3D printed replacement lever for the tongue mechanism. He molded brand new claws for the smoked feet. And he made me a brand new button for the firing fist. So this is all from Shogun Plastics. Now this tail here is something I bought on eBay. I think it's a later issue or a first issue tail because it's not quite the same color, but I don't really care. I got a decent deal on it because it has a slight crack in it right here, but I'm not going to worry about it. I bought that before Derek, looks like a green wiener, doesn't it? I bought that before Derek had molded these. So he actually makes replacement tails for these Godzillas as well, which are a lot cheaper than what I paid for this. So if you're doing the same restoration, definitely check out his stuff. But I got all these pieces to do this figure, and I was really excited. It took a while to get him because, the pandemic delayed a lot of things for a lot of people, but I'm really, really excited that there's a guy who does reproduction parts like this. Now, I'm sure there's other people that do these reproduction parts, but he's the one I'm most familiar with. So it's cool because it makes restoration so much more fun when you can find the parts, and you're also supporting, an online business. So that's that. We got all the parts for it. So we'll come back and talk a little bit more about what we're going to do to restore this Shogun Warriors Godzilla. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the head off. So there's 4 screws that go around the whole neck. Just Phillips head screws. We're going to take the head off and disassemble it in order to take out the old flame lever, the bad one, and put this brand new 3D printed one in there. So I'll go ahead and unscrew those screws and we'll get the head off and take a look at it. Alright guys, welcome back. So I took the head apart, got him off the body. Now I watched a few videos and there's another site, can't remember the name of it, but I'll try to figure it out and post a link to a site which helps you restore these. But the old way to do this was to break this head apart at the joints and remove the lever. Now since I've done that already, I'll go ahead and tell you that you don't have to do that anymore. Derek at Shogun Plastics has made a 3D printed piece that essentially slides over the broken lever for the tongue, so you don't have to disassemble the head anymore. It just fits in the socket over the broken piece here, and then you can operate this way easier than taking this head apart. So how I took the head apart, I've actually done it. I took a X-Acto knife or razor knife and I went along the seam under here and just worked it and just slowly would pry it apart using my pry tool that I use on a lot of other stuff until I worked it good enough, being very, very careful not to break any of the plastic on the head. So then I got the head apart a little bit and I took this pumpkin carving tool and just scored these pieces here with it and ended up breaking it apart so I can remove the piece here and change out that broken lever. This took quite a while and I had to be very, very careful. And given my experience with G.I. Joe muscle bodies and some other restorations where you have to kind of do some destructive stuff to take them apart, I was actually able to do this no problem. But I definitely would not suggest trying this. I would go, if you're able to, with the 3D printed retrofit piece that Derek makes. I think that is just way easier than trying something like this. This is more of an advanced type of repair, actually. And I'm not saying I'm advanced, but I just have enough experience and skill that I luckily didn't screw it up. So I got to take out the broken piece here and then put in the new piece, and we'll come back and we'll see how it looks. Okay guys, so I took a punch and a hammer and removed the pin that was holding this piece in. So now we can go ahead and put this back together and put him back in the Godzilla head, and that'll be done. I'll also clean this head up a little bit, so I'll wipe him down with some detergent, kind of clean it all up before I reassemble the head. I'll probably also take the opportunity to clean the tongue as well. It's a little dingy, so I'll probably just run a little bit of soap on that too to kind of just get this whole thing cleaned up. And then when we get that done, we'll go ahead and reassemble the head. So we'll glue all these back together using Gorilla Super Glue. So I'll glue the head all the way back together, and that'll essentially finish up the lever. And then we'll move on to the feet, get those wrapped up. So we'll come back and try to get this head all assembled. Okay, real quick, guys. I got the pin put back in this 3D printed lever, and you can see works great. So cool. Love it when things come together and work. So we'll go ahead and get the head cleaned up, and get this tongue cleaned up, and we'll get the head assembled. I just wanted to show you this lever working really quick. Alright guys, we're back real quick. I just wanted to tell you that I cleaned the head up with some Tide Free and Clear. It's the detergent I use on all my old toys. It's not harsh at all. It does a really nice job of cleaning these old toys up. So that's what I use, Tide Free and Clear. I clean the fist as well. Another thing I wanted to talk about while I'm waiting for these to dry. I know I mentioned that there's a small crack, as you can see right here in this tail. Now, sometimes these things tend to do what's called propagation. And propagation is when these cracks tend to spread because of the point at the end there puts a lot of pressure on the plastic around it, and it just continues to crack along that axis. G.I. Joe knees do that quite a bit. You see a lot of these old plastics develop cracks and propagate as they get older and oxidized. Now what I tend to do with some of the stuff that I have is I'll take a small drill bit and I'll drill a hole at the very end of that crack. A really small drill bit. It's like a jeweler's drill. And what that does is it keeps that point from propagating any further. So I'll probably do that with this tail as well, because this plastic's pretty old and brittle, and I want to keep that propagation from getting any worse. So that's just a pointer that I do. I mean, I understand, like, I don't want to damage the tail, but the tail's already damaged. It's cracked, so, and it's my Godzilla, so that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you what the hole looks like whenever I drill it later on in this tutorial. So I just want to cover those things right there. Tide Free and Clear, and I'll drill a small hole in the crack to mitigate the propagation. Alright guys, so the head's dried. We got our glue in using these banana rubber bands to hold it together. You can see the tongue mechanism works great. So head's nice and clean. So we'll just let this glue dry, and in the meantime we'll start working on the feet. So Godzilla's head is finished up. Alright, so the wheels and the feet. You can see these things are pretty smoked. There's 4 screws, as well as a screw that fastens into the foot here. These wheels come out. Both of these are completely smoked. I've removed some of the screws. So we'll go ahead and remove the rest of those, and then we'll put these new replacement claw feet on the bottom of this guy. But before we do that, like I said, we'll remove all this stuff, and we'll go ahead and I'm going to scrub the body down. We're also going to remove the firing fist mechanism. It has a screw. I've already removed it on the bottom here. Take that out, and you just pull this piece out, and it comes apart so we can put in the new button. So we'll get this whole thing disassembled, clean this body up. We'll do a separate little video segment on repairing the firing fist mechanism, and we'll go ahead and get the new feet claws screwed in as well. Okay guys, so the body's been washed and it's in the sun drying off right now. So let's talk about the firing mechanism. So this is the portion where the button sits, and it's been broken off, and it basically depresses down. And that's what fires the stud, which fits into this fist here. So of course the button's been broken off, so Derek from Shogun Plastics sent me a brand new firing pin system. So this pulls out and it just comes apart like so. Here's the broken portion. You can see this little spring here sits in this seat right here, and then the mechanism just pushes down and activates the firing system. So what we'll do is we'll get this thing going. I think the spring sits like so. I can't remember how the spring goes, but anyways, we'll get it figured out. But anyway, we'll take this button out. Take the little spring here. Put it in the seat. Press that down. So it all just snaps into place like so. And the button will just glue in there and it operates the firing fist. So I believe it operates like this. The stud goes in. Then you take the button. Oops. Boom. Works like a charm. So that's all finished up. So when the body dries, we'll insert this back into the slot in the arm socket. And then we'll screw this in place and glue the button, and we'll have the firing mechanism ready to go. Okay guys, welcome back. So I took the tail to find that crack. You can see it right here. You can barely see that crack, and I took this really small drill bit and I drilled into the head of the crack. It's hard to focus. I put a tiny, tiny hole in there to keep that crack from propagating on the tail. So you can't really tell on the outside here. You can see a teeny bit, but yeah, that should mitigate this crack from further propagating down the tail. So I got that all taken care of. And Godzilla is all cleaned up. I put the claws back on him, brand new ones, nice bright vibrant yellow. His head screwed back on, the glue's dried. Flame tongue operates. That's pretty sweet. So we're almost finished. The last thing is probably going to be one of the most difficult, is putting the firing stud back in the hand. You can see here the hand's a little bigger or smaller than the firing stud. I think I'm going to try to heat this up a little bit to make the plastic more pliable and try to pop that in. So I'll work on that, and then we'll come back and we'll take a look at this guy, hopefully complete. Okay guys, welcome back. So I took a heat gun and heated up the fist and slid that firing stud in. So set the camera down. I gotta do this with two hands, I think. Let's go ahead and set it on there. I apologize for the shaky work. So boom. There we go. Doesn't sit in there quite the way I wanted to. I kind of feel like I have the spring in backwards in here. Let me see if I can switch that around, and we'll see if we can make that work a little better. Come back here in a few seconds. Okay guys, so I adjusted the spring a little bit. Has a little bit of a gap, but I kind of feel like the old original ones did as well. Kind of did some research, and that's kind of what they look like. So yeah, Here he is. My 1977 Shogun Warriors Godzilla, completely restored. A couple things. The tail has a split here as well. I didn't notice that. You can see where that crack, all the tension when you put it on the socket kind of causes that crack to come out, so I drilled that hole to keep it from propagating. This here is not a lot I can do with it. At some point in time I might get a hold of Derek at Shogun Plastics and have him mold me a brand new tail if the tail becomes, if the tail becomes an issue. But yeah, man, this guy is completely restored, ready to go. Pretty excited. This is a pretty good project. Pretty simple. All right, guys, here he is. My finished 1977 Shogun Warriors Godzilla figure. Pretty good restoration. Went quick. No issues. I'm really pleased with the way it turned out. Happy with all the parts from Shogun Plastics. Shout out to you, Derek. Thank you for helping me finish this guy. Just a cool project to do. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like and subscribe to the page. Hit the notification icon. I have a lot more videos coming. Thanks for watching. Cheers.